Alright, so what I want to do is make some sort of chainsaw scabbard, stick on the John Deere here, probably mount it here on the pillar of the loader somehow, maybe drill and tap that. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to build it first and then figure out how I want to mount it. But the problem is, I'm outside logging or cutting firewood or whatever, and you know, you stick your chainsaw in the bucket or whatever, but you forget it's in there, you end up dumping it out, running it over. I mean, I've never done that, but I could see it happening pretty easily. So I usually sit it here on the platform of the tractor, but it's kind of a pain. You gotta step over and, you know, hit the pedals, and it's just in the way all the time. So I got this thick PVC from work. They were gonna throw it out, and I'm gonna cut it up and create some sort of scabbard for the side of the loader there. So I might get this cleaned up a little bit and then take it into the saws and show how you do it. I'm gonna knock these little dowels off and use them for other projects, but should work pretty good for what I want to do. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8. I'll measure it here in a minute. So follow along and see how it goes. Alright, so I knocked all those little dowels off there with a mallet, and probably use those for different projects if I want to hang stuff out in the shop, wrenches or whatever. You know, drill a piece of wood out and stick those in, cut them off to length, and hang different stuff off. They'll come in handy. And then this, I measured it, it's 3/8, so it should be plenty thick, nice and sturdy stuff. If you cut it down a little bit smaller, and I'm gonna probably chop it up into more manageable sizes with the circular saw, and then I'll take it over here to the table saw and get all my pieces cut to length and width. Alright, so I measured my bar with the chain, and it's about 3.5 inches wide. So I'm going to make the opening in the center 5.5 or 5.25 inches wide, just so I'm not fighting it when I'm pulling the chainsaw in and out. And set the table saw here to 7.25, so I can have an inch spacer on each side, and then I'll sandwich everything together. So I'm going to rip everything down, and then we can head over to the miter saw. So these, if you can see, are about 21 inches long I'm gonna rip them down, or chop them down to probably 20 inches. And that way, if you got a longer blade, it can stick out the bottom or whatever, but that'll pretty much cover you. So do that over here. Probably cut down my strips first to 1 inch, my spacers, and then take everything over and cut it down to length. So I'm going to square everything up and then cut it to 20 inches or whatever the longest length of this material is. Alright, so I got everything cut to length and width. I think I can take this off for now. You can see it's covered in PVC, shit you don't want in your beard or your lungs. So, guess time to put this together. Cut these a little short. They weren't as long as these other pieces, and it's not going to matter because I'm probably just going to stick them bottom on both sides and then sandwich everything together like that. So probably clamp it, drill some pilot holes and some countersinks, and then screw everything together. See what I got for screws that might work for this. Alright, so I got all my clamps, piece where I want them, and everything clamped. I'm going to measure out my holes and start drilling the holes. See how this all fits. That'll work pretty nice. So, just gotta figure out how to mount it now. Alright, so I got one hole drilled here. I'm gonna offset this a little bit out. I don't know what I'm going to use yet. Probably some sort of rubber spacer, just so that this is out away from these pins for the loader. But I wanted to get one bolt drilled there. I'm going to follow this line, I think. And then that way you can grab the saw out that way as you're hopping off the tractor. So I'm going to figure out where I can drill a couple more holes, and these two on this side, I'm going to have to drill and tap just because there's no way to get down in there to get a nut or anything. But I'm going to do that. Now that I got the first bolt on, I can locate these two holes. Alright, so I got one pilot hole drilled. I just figured out You need a 17/64 drill bit for 5/16 18 thread tap size. So might be a little bit of a chore, but we'll find one. Looks to be about that. So what I did was I drilled out a couple hockey pucks just to stick behind there to offset that from these pins. I'm going to probably stick that on there, bolt this last bolt down with a second bolt, then I'll locate this hole, and then I'll drill and tap that and put everything together. So there's the finished project, guys. Got everything mounted. Got all my rubber spacers in there. Saw sits in there real nice. And best part is when you're hopping on and off the tractor, you're not putting on the saw anymore, having them get in the way of your pedals and all that. So I think it's a nice addition. Happy with it. So, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.